Your grandfather's white shirts were whiter than yours. Not a little whiter, genuinely, brilliantly white, the kind of white you just do not see coming out of a modern machine. And your grandfather did it without a single one of the dozen bottles crowding the laundry shelf today. No color-safe pods, no oxygen boosters, no fabric softeners, no whitening sprays. His clothes came out brighter and lasted for decades, and he spent almost nothing to do it. Now, most of how he did it was simple, sensible habit, and I am going to walk you through all of it. But there were two things in particular that your grandfather understood. Two moves that no washing machine and no expensive bottle can truly copy, and those two I am going to save for the very end, because they are the ones that will change how you do your wash forever. So stay with me all the way through, because the everyday habits come first, and the best part is waiting at the finish. It started before the wash even ran, with sorting, and he did it carefully. Whites apart from colors, so the dyes could not bleed and turn a white shirt gray or pink. Heavy, dirty work clothes apart from the light. Delicate things so the rough load would not batter the fine one. And he turned dark clothes and printed shirts inside out to protect the color and the design from fading and rubbing. It sounds fussy, but it is the difference between clothes that stay sharp for years and clothes that go dull and shabby in a season. A few seconds of sorting saved the whole wardrobe. Now let me get to the water, because your grandfather knew something the detergent commercials would rather you forget. Hotter is not better. We have been trained to believe that scalding hot water gets clothes cleaner, but for most laundry the opposite is true. Hot water sets many stains permanently, especially the protein stains like blood, egg, sweat, and grass, cooking them right into the fibers where they will never come out. Hot water also fades colors faster and shrinks and wears out the fabric. Your grandfather washed most things in cool or cold water, saving the hot water only for the truly greasy or heavily soiled loads, like oily work clothes or sickbed sheets. Cold water is gentler on the cloth. It keeps the colors alive, and for everyday dirt, it cleans just fine. Your clothes last longer and look better, and you save on the heating bill besides. Next, and this one surprises everybody, he used less soap, not more. We tend to dump in a big heaping scoop, figuring more soap means more clean. It does not. Most people use far too much detergent, and the excess does not rinse out. It stays trapped in the fibers, where it actually grabs and holds dirt, leaving clothes stiff, dingy, and gray over time, and it irritates the skin. Your grandfather used a small amount, just enough to do the job, and his clothes rinsed truly clean. If your towels have gone stiff and stopped soaking up water, or your darks look dusty and gray, too much detergent is very often the culprit. Use half of what you think you need and watch what happens. Now to one of his great workhorses, plain white vinegar in the rinse. A cup of ordinary vinegar added to the rinse does three lovely things at once. It works as a natural fabric softener, leaving towels fluffy without any waxy chemical coating. It helps strip out that leftover detergent buildup we just talked about, so clothes rinse cleaner and brighter, and it cuts through mustiness and odor. But here, I have to stop and give you a warning that could genuinely save your life, so please listen closely. Never ever mix vinegar with chlorine bleach. When the acid in vinegar meets chlorine bleach, the kind sold for over a century under names like Clorox, the two react and release chlorine gas, a poison that can burn your lungs and, in a closed room, can actually kill you. Every year, people are hurt doing this by accident. Vinegar and bleach are both useful, but they must be kept completely apart, on separate jobs, never in the same load or the same bucket. Use the vinegar on its own in the rinse, and it is one of the best and safest things you can add to your wash. For a little extra boost, especially on odors and on whites, your grandfather reached for baking soda, about half a cup thrown in with the wash. It gently lifts odors, softens the water so your soap works better, and helps brighten. And for the really tough loads, he kept one more old standby on the shelf, a mineral called borax, sold for generations as 20 Mule Team Borax. A scoop of borax softens hard water, boosts the cleaning power of a small amount of soap, and helps with stubborn odors and stains, which is exactly why it has been in laundry rooms for over 100 years. Vinegar in the rinse, a little baking soda or borax in the wash, a small amount of soap and cool water, that simple combination will get most laundry beautifully clean without a single specialty product. And there was one more habit that did half the work before the wash even started, the pre-soak. For anything really dirty or heavily stained, your grandfather let it sit and soak in a basin of cool water, often with a little baking soda or borax stirred in, for an hour or even overnight. That quiet soaking loosens and lifts the dirt on its own, so that by the time the real washing began, most of the battle was already won. It cost nothing but a little patience, and patience was something he had. Then there were the stains, and here the rule was speed and matching the method to the mess. He treated a stain right away, before it dried and set, because a fresh stain lifts out 10 times easier than an old one, and he knew that different stains want different treatment. Cold water for blood and other protein stains, never hot because hot cooks them in. A paste of baking soda for grease. A sprinkle of salt to soak up a fresh red wine or to lift a spill before it sets. And for many stains, he had one more helper that I will come back to at the end, because it ties into the big finish. The point is, he did not own a shelf of specialized stain sticks. He understood what the stain was made of and answered it simply. And underneath all of it was a mindset we have almost lost. Your grandfather made his clothes last for decades because he cared for them and repaired them. A loose button was sewn back on, not a reason to throw the shirt out. A small tear was mended. Clothes were brushed, folded, and stored properly. And this is where I can start opening the door to that big finish, because one of the fastest ways clothes wear out today is the machine dryer. That lint you clean out of the dryer trap after every load, that gray fuzz, is not just dust, it is your clothes, literally shredding away fiber by fiber in the heat and the tumbling. Your grandfather did not wear his clothes out in a hot metal drum. He hung them up. And that brings us at last to the two things I promised you, the two moves no machine and no bottle can truly replace. The first is the sun. Your grandfather did not hang the wash outside because he had no dryer, or only out of thrift. He did it because sunlight is a genuine, powerful laundry tool, and this is real science, not nostalgia. The ultraviolet light in sunlight is a natural bleach. It breaks down the chemical bonds in stains and in the yellowing of old fabric, gently lightening and brightening whites in a way no bottle does, and doing it for free. And the very same ultraviolet light is a natural disinfectant. It kills bacteria and germs living in the cloth, which is exactly why sheets, towels, and baby things that have dried in the sun come in smelling so impossibly fresh and clean. That smell is not a fragrance. It is the smell of laundry that is actually deeply clean and sun-purified. Line drying also spares your clothes the shredding of the dryer, so they last far longer. And this is where that stain helper I promised you comes in. For a stubborn stain on a white, your grandfather would rub it with a little lemon juice, that mild natural acid, and then lay the item out flat in full sun. The acid of the lemon and the ultraviolet of the sun work together and simply bleach the stain away. No harsh chemicals at all. Sunshine and fresh air, whitening, disinfecting, and preserving your clothes all at once, at no cost. It is the single most powerful thing in this whole video, and the detergent companies cannot sell it to you. And the second move is the one almost nobody remembers, and it is my favorite because it is so clever and so backwards that it will make you smile. To make his whites their whitest, your grandfather added a tiny touch of blue, Yes, blue. There was an old product, and it still exists, called laundry bluing. And the most famous brand was Mrs. Stewart's bluing. You would add a few drops of this mild blue liquid to the rinse water. Now, why on earth would you add blue to make something white? Because old white fabric does not go dark as it ages, it goes yellow, and the exact opposite of yellow on the color wheel is blue. So the faintest hint of blue cancels out that yellow tinge to the eye, and the fabric reads as a pure, bright, brilliant white instead of a dingy cream. It is an optical trick, and it works beautifully. And here is the part that ties the whole story together. That old blue trick your grandfather used for pennies did not disappear. The detergent companies simply took the idea, refined it into chemicals they call optical brighteners, and put them into nearly every laundry detergent and fabric softener on the shelf today. Those optical brighteners, sometimes called fluorescent whitening agents, do the very same job, adding a bluish glow that fools your eye into seeing whiter white. In other words, the modern bottle you pay a premium for is selling you, in a fancy form, the exact trick your grandfather did with a few drops of blue in a basin. He knew it first, and he knew it cheap. So look at what he really had. Cool water, a little soap, a splash of vinegar, a handful of baking soda, quick attention to stains, careful mending, and then the two things that no machine will ever match: the free bleaching and disinfecting power of the sun, and the clever little touch of blue that the big companies later bottled and sold back to us. That is how a man kept his whites brilliant and his clothes lasting for 30 years, with almost nothing and no shelf of plastic bottles at all. It was never about buying more. It was about understanding what he was doing. So tell me down in the comments, did your family hang the washout on the line? And do you remember that smell of sun-dried sheets? Did your grandmother or grandfather use the bluing? These old ways are quietly slipping away, and everyone you share helps keep them alive. And if this made you want to string up a clothesline this weekend, stay with me, because there is a whole lifetime of this simple old wisdom worth remembering, one chore at a time. Take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next one.